You're probably not supposed to drink on Twitch. I don't know how this stuff works.
I think there's something where, like, you're allowed to drink on Twitch.
Yeah.
I think there's something about, like, not, like, making it like, oh, if I get this, I drink this much or something like that. Like, there's a harmful level or something.
Don't forget we have to do something about like the bills and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I bought 2 of those because you like to drink them, so.
I do. So as long as you're not ridiculous about it, because it is 1 gram per serving of carbs. So it's 10 grams per gallon.
I mean, that's a lot, but I love this cup so much. This is my favorite cup.
It's a good cup. I was actually looking at that and...
Yeah? Did you find one
Hold
on
on.
Oh.
Let me unmute us. Bring us on
Since
stream.
we're having a conversation.
Yeah.
I'll start again about how it's my favorite cup.
Start by just taking a drink or something from it. Right, there we go. We are actually unmuted.
Oh yeah, as I was saying, I really like this cup because it's really solid and I can like turn it upside down.
It's also like a good vacuum container.
Yeah.
Thing. So like it keeps a good temperature.
It does. It keeps things... I think it's technically supposed to keep things hot, but it will also keep them pretty cold too.
Yeah, what I was saying is like I was looking at that cup because you were using it and like you mentioned how you would have water in it the one night and then came back to drink it. And when you came back to drink the water was still cold.
Yeah.
So it was like,
This
oh,
must be the eclipse.
I'd like,
You know what this is?
like this thing. I think the seal's like going on it, and I was remembering it used to have like a rubber grip.
Yeah.
So it's like I should get like something like that as one of these.
Contigo, sponsor us. I'm just kidding. Don't sponsor us.
Yeah, we can't get a Contigo sponsor yet. We don't even have.
Maybe they give us bottles to give out, and then everybody and travel mugs. You know.
So let's see, where were we?
I don't remember. It's been 2 weeks.
We were fighting Caius Ballad. I'm getting our butt kicked.
Oh yeah, we were getting our butts kicked like really hard.
Yeah. So
In
there
Urba?
was another battle that we had abandoned at one point, and we've leveled a bunch since then.
Mm-hmm.
That maybe we could take now. We could go see Snow.
Let's go see Snow with his stupid hair.
Even as upheavals transform the world of
I still like Caius's last name is Ballad.
Caius Ballad.
The sunlit
Yep.
waterscape survives amidst the decaying cities of Cocoon. This
Okay.
was once a protected wilderness zone.
The only problem that I have with this is the seal is like really tight, so it's hard to open.
Oh yeah, that thing. There's the one problem I have with that thing myself is that, like, I don't have problems with strength on a lot of things, but that one thing is like
I often have
pop.
I often have like fake nails or nail enhancement, so you know I can break them on like anything. And this, I don't know if I have. I can't remember if I have, but it's definitely a possibility.
There was some part of me that really wanted to, like, at that moment be like, me, I grow my own, but I actually clip my nails earlier
Yeah.
today.
I've been clipping them. I gotta remove it. I
Oh,
think
that's right. I have a B button now for jumping.
we always forget that. That's like it's like the future.
It's because we've had a couple weeks where, like, stuff had happened, so we've been, like, we've had to cancel the stream for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Oh man, this was a really hard fight, but we've leveled up a bunch since then, right?
we have.
Oh, we gotta throw this song on the playlist.
I guess we could.
I mean,
It's such a weird song.
I know, but I like songs that have us like remembering, you know, time. So we can say like, oh, that was that song from that time.
Yeah, we're just like, remember that time we were both annoyed about that thing?
About that slimy tomato. quick, Slimy.
Is my everybody is a sentinel button. There we go, tortoise.
That was like the one, like they didn't go over a lot of stuff in like tutorials, but that was like one of the things they're like, everyone can be a sentinel.
And your defense goes up like super high in that one moment. What is this? It's the
Oh man, remember we had that one guy, well, person, I don't know, but one person in here who was like giving us all those tips, like it made the game so much easier.
yeah, that was pretty great.
We need more backseat gamers.
True. Let's go. Regret. Nope. Back to tortoise again.
Doesn't it heal itself?
I think
Yeah,
we
it-
did have that problem eventually.
I think it just did that. Whoa, that's really fast. You
I
fucked
went
it
the
up.
wrong direction. Because you can get that done if you just spin it.
Oh, is
but,
that what
but-
they're trying to tell you to do?
I think we figured that out on stream one time.
Oh.
It's like you can get it done if you spin it, but then I spun it the wrong direction. Come
Oh.
on, break, 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 break.
Break! Oh, it's not gonna let you break it. Oh, it did.
Alright, that is healed. Back to aggression. Tortoise.
Yeah, it does let you switch faster in this game compared to Final
Yeah.
Fantasy XIII.
It doesn't do the... Like, I know they did a lot of things that were to improve the way the game played.
Mhm.
So, like, one of the big things with that was to, like, put in all these quality of life upgrade type stuff.
Yeah.
And,
It could have also...
hold on, okay, cinematic action, X. So you did a thing, do I have more button?
In some games, it'll like pause everything if you're like switching something, or if somebody's doing an ultimate attack. And I feel like it should have done that, like instead of like letting the enemy keep moving. And that would have been fine.
Yeah. Well, it was the biggest problem in the earlier or in the first game was that it would do that, or it's like it wouldn't pause it, which is fine if you're. Yeah, it's like it would take this super long animation where your characters wouldn't be doing anything during it.
Yeah. If they would just pause everything, then it would be fine.
Yeah.
I don't know how our sound is. I can hear you really well in my headphones. But
Yeah, well, that's a little bit more local, but you can see the mix over there. So as long as the voice is higher than the...
I like how you still have it listed as Yeti Nano. For
Yeah,
microphones.
that's because I keep not taking the time to, like, go fix that.
Fix the label.
And there's been, like, the first time I ran it just by, like, okay, this wasn't working, let me swap this over.
Yeah. I also like that you downgraded our microphones, technically, as far as cost goes. But these work out really well.
Yeah.
Because the cats can tap them, and it doesn't...
Cats can tap them, dogs can tap them. We don't even really need to worry about, like thrumming that doesn't do much.
Yeah. The little spring that people can't see because it's not on the camera. Now, the next thing we need for our stream setup, because we like to buy these things because it's fun, we need a way to remotely control the camera.
I mean, one thing I'd like is 2 more cameras.
No, we need to be able... I guess that would be easier, then we could just switch it in Streamlabs, you know?
Yeah.
But
it's like we have to readjust this camera all the time because I'm moving it to, like, over there for the Japanese lessons. I'd also like to put a camera down, you know, where the VR setup is.
And then a camera in the backyard so people can watch our dogs.
Yeah.
And we can watch our dogs back there. Then we can put a camera on the cat tree.
Yep.
So people can watch the gray cat sleep and eat almonds.
Look, we'll call this hashtag Deer Goals.
Deer goals. But I think it would be really fun if we could have on camera one. Just, is there a way, like something you can buy to remotely loop it around?
I'm not sure so much about that. Like, I think that's a fancier camera that lets you move it around like that.
Well, you and Charlie could probably build something. Carlos is a goblin
like
from Warcraft. Or from World of Warcraft.
What about Carlos?
Carlos is he's just an inventor. He likes
Oh.
to make things.
Okay, I get it.
I added a new name to the rotation for him.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I'm running out of them. There's only so many nicknames for someone named Charles. So many names you can call them.
You go with Chuckles.
That's true. But I don't. That's not a real name.
Why don't you... Do I specifically have... I do not have that one. Okay.
Well, then stop trying to do that one.
Well, I was...
I love when we do that, when we have it on like auto, and we're like, why aren't you doing that thing we want you to do?
It was like it had done deprotect and deshell, and I was like, okay, cool. Can I do the other one that I really like?
It heals way too much. Like, it really needs to stop healing so much. Oh, actually, I thought it was all the way healed again.
Nope, that's now.
Really? Oh my gosh! What is this?
It's trying to heal as we speak, so I'm trying to put out damage to like counteract that, hopefully. And it seems to have kept its... Like, I think I'm over, or I'm matching its
It's
healing.
Great.
I think that would be a blow that would maybe kill me.
But you're smart. And you guys don't have
Somewhat.
a whole lot of HP, so, you know.
No, not combat clinic. Aggression X, thank you. If we can get this, if we can break him again. So I can take that blow. Come on, come on.
So it belches and that heals it. You did it this time!
Yes, finally. I think belch is the thing that like triggers the thing that heals it. I'm feeling this is bad.
It just powered up a bit. So you're, sometimes you're gonna medic. What does the scan droid do? Is it also, it's a Ravager.
It's a Ravager. So I'm still outputting damage while I do this. Come on, a little bit more.
You guys can do this! And then we can be back with the love of our lives. Oh, maybe he can't leave. Ryan.
He probably can't go through time, but maybe he can explain to us how he's still alive 300 years in the future.
That's true. Is the timeline now based around us? Like before Sarah and Noel, and after Sarah and Noel?
No, I think it's all based on the fall of the planet or something like that. I keep joking about it being like, oh, it's 300 as fuck.
Oh, because it's AF. Afterfall, right? Thanks for ruining my joke.
Come on, we are so very close. Why do you guys have to suck at pouring on the pain? Do I have some items to really help with this? I'll do that real quick, because that will be a quick heal.
Yeah. Actually, that's what got us through the last fight in the previous game, was potions. Like, we didn't realize we were supposed to use so many potions. I thought that's what it was.
I think it helped, definitely, in a few moments, because I, like, would lose my healer.
Yeah. Okay, you need to heal better.
Nope, nope, come on, over here.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. I can feel it. Like, I feel like a slimy tomato is smacking me with its big hands.
It was a very specific and weird thing to feel. And I would tell you that I'm not judging you, except I am.
Oh, I thought you didn't kink shame. Oh, good. Oh, it's a jelly bean.
That's not jelly bean.
Maybe they don't have tomatoes in their world.
Oh, wait, hold on. Up.
All my fantasies are coming true.
You have fantasies about Noel and Snow?
And him punching Noel's foot? Oh, speaking of specific fantasies, I told my coworker, who I'm not gonna name people that aren't involved with the stream, but he happens to be gay, and I was like, hey, I went over to Giant today, and I saw an attractive old guy, and he's like, oh yeah? And I'm like, yeah, he looks like Anderson Cooper. He's like,
Oh my god, story.
Oh. Oh, that's why in the next game he was all about, like, going after slimes, right?
Who was about going after science?
Snow, remember?
Oh, in World of Final
in
Fantasy.
World of Final Fantasy, yeah.
He's like, I gotta fight the giant slime thing.
We actually didn't defeat it.
Listen, hotheads who can't back down don't last long on this planet.
Well, we beat that, we just didn't
mean,
beat the game.
I've been here for
Sometimes you gotta
300
make a
years,
stand.
so...
You're not listening to me. Humans aren't strong. They die easy.
Well, some of us are tougher than others. Anyway, thanks for the help.
I think he's lived 300 years and then stole her blouse.
He does look like he's...
Like, is that not her like, cleavagey... You know, her cleavage blouse lined with, lace at the top?
It looks like it.
It's been on hold for
Somehow I
300
didn't
years.
expect you to be such a hothead. All I hear is what a great guy Snow is. And look where you are, all the way in the future.
I'm
He
sorry.
didn't
who's
do
the
anything
hothead?
wrong.
What were you thinking bringing Sarah out here?
Listen, Snow.
Yeah, what's wrong with
It's
you?
not lightning. I found Snow again. He hasn't changed a bit. Still as reckless as ever, still doing his own thing. To think I spent all that time worrying about him. Stupid me.
Oh, she's gonna break
Guess I'll
up with
never
him.
learn.
They're so cute.
And that's how we got here.
Of course she's gonna break up with him, because otherwise,
Now it's your
like,
turn.
she can't go after
Why'd you
him.
up and leave
Puppy.
Sarah? What are you doing fighting
I
here in
drank
the
a lot of
future?
alcohol, apparently.
You really want to know?
I asked, didn't I?
Why is he
Lightning
acting so
appeared in my
jealous?
dreams, too.
Stop
Can you
licking my
believe it?
nose.
You saw lightning?
She told me I had to protect Cocoon, so I started jumping through time, checking things out. I learned that the giant jelly bean back there knocks
I got
Cocoon down.
a really bad
You mean
haircut
Flan
in
we
like
just fought?
58 fuck.
According to the stories I heard back in my own time, Cocoon
was a
was
really
brought
bad
down by
haircut.
war.
Well, there's more than just one cause. Did you see what it was doing, that Flan? It's melting the crystal of the pillar, bit by bit.
But Vanille and Fang, they're inside it.
Yeah, so Cocoon starts to get unstable. People feel the tremors and begin to panic.
This is a lot of
Next thing you know,
exposition.
everyone's fighting each other.
It's consistent with what I know, sort of.
I can't believe lightning appeared in your dreams as well. She told you to protect
Oh my
Cocoon's
gosh.
pillar. So she must want you to save Vanille and Fang.
Like I said, sometimes you gotta make a stand.
That's very dramatic.
Have a choice. My
I feel
mission
like
is
they
to
didn't
stop that
do
thing
as
from
good with
going.
the flappy flap mouth flips in this
Maybe.
game.
In your dream, I wonder if it really was my sister that you met.
She told me not to worry about it. Said I had to protect Cocoon and look after Vanille and Fang.
The balance on the music is
As real as you and me talking about
higher than the balance on their voices.
Maybe that's why it doesn't look like the voices are
Yes.
matching up
That's
with
how
the
she
mouthy
looked to me,
flap
too.
flaps.
I guess it really was her.
They're okay, but they may also
Gave
not
me
have
and
put as much
Snow
effort
different
into
missions. Does that mean that she can't
You gotta
do
say it.
anything while she's in
into this
power?
game,
Into what in this game?
into Kingdom or
None
not
of
Kingdom,
this makes
into
sense.
Final Fantasy 13-2.
Thousands
Into
of
what,
Flan appearing out of nowhere,
like,
and they're fusing and creating
aspect
beasts
of
that
it?
shouldn't exist.
Yes. Yep.
Could it be a paradox?
Those ones.
All of them.
If it is,
You just
we'll
don't want
need
to
do
say
some
it.
Traveling to fix it.
Which means you gotta find an artifact first.
Lightning. Did you meet
Oh wait,
Snow
I
in his
can't like
dreams?
whisper like that. I gotta whisper here.
Is there a reason why you can only talk
Mouthy
to us
flap
when
flaps.
we sleep? Snow hasn't
See,
changed
you're changing it and making it weird.
since I last
But
saw
here's
her.
the thing. That's already literally called mouth flaps.
I know.
So it's like
So mad.
I didn't know what they were called, so I made it up.
Been caught up in the fate
I'm
you got
like-
you got close.
I'm like the inventor of the German language.
It's good to worry about the simple stuff. Being with Snow
I guess
helped
so.
me forget about
It
what
feels
was
more
important.
Japanese though to be like mouthy flap flaps. That'd be the word that'll be like sincerely the thing that he has to say like in front of Japanese Congress. It'll be like, and it had me so scared. Doki doki. When I was electrocuted. Biri biri. It's like what?
That's like the like Brian is taking Japanese lessons with
There are so
a
many.
gentleman online,
Where are they
Kenji
going?
Sensei.
Yeah.
Follow
Yeah,
it straight to the
and
artifact.
they don't speak like when I take Spanish lessons online. I'm speaking Spanish almost 100% of the time, unless I don't know a word. Then I'll be like,
The one time he was like really punch drunk from being super tired, he did at some point be like, Nihonjin, onagai, and I was like, you just asked me a question that you have not taught me the Japanese for, so I can't do that.
he's like, oh,
This is like my fourth lesson. I can't.
but you spend a lot of time asking him about like Japanese culture and like
There's a little
the
bit,
use
a
of
little bit of that.
onomatopoeias and to
I guess
describe
I can
things.
just keep fighting this thing and getting my butt kicked.
It's not gonna help.
Maybe it's an optional boss for like the end of the game. They're like, oh, you guys
Probably.
were like, hey, there's no optional bosses.
We don't have a turtle mountain, after all.
Hey, Mog, what's
But
going
yeah,
on?
I'm looking forward to you forgetting enough of that game that I can talk you into.
Guess he's telling
Playing
us
Final
to use
Fantasy
artifact.
15. Maybe we'll play Final Fantasy 14 after this, and then we'll play.
No, we already did a stream of 14.
Yeah, it was super boring because it was like the beginning of a MMO, so it was boring.
Well, that's the thing. The beginning is not the part that got boring. It was like the being a few.
This is all over.
You were like,
it was
a few
like it was
levels.
interesting for the first like 3 hours or so.
Maybe if we ran around together. Why are we fighting it again?
Wait, what? No.
No, we don't want to fight his royal ripeness.
It gave me like a marker for somewhere to go. I guess I can go fight
Is he
that
gonna
if I
come
want.
with you forever now? Did he join your party?
I don't think he's joined my party.
Ah.
I don't think that's how this works.
Yeah. So the point is, Brian, that back to you and your Japanese lessons. I don't think you speak enough Japanese during them, and I think you should make more effort to do so instead of asking him questions about Japanese culture.
Well, when I ask those questions, he's like, "Did you have any questions?" And like that's like if I kind of come to him like, "No, I have no questions," then he's a little
Ask him a,
he doesn't always have a plan. So like when I
Ask
come
him a
with him with
question.
questions, I'm like, hey, I wanted to know this thing about Japanese culture, which will also teach me a ton of language. Like when he and I
true.
discussed the senpai kohai relationship and business relationships, that's where I learned like bucho and like I
Yeah.
learned all these, or at least we covered all this
Right, I
vocab for
don't
like
think-
people's.
the video
Things.
is on there at all.
Oh, poop.
Yeah, we've had all this great conversation, and even if somebody were watching us, they wouldn't see us playing a game. Oh, let's pause.
It's even more impressive because what I did was I did go to turn off the cover,
Yeah.
and when I went to turn off the cover, I turned off the video feed.
Oh.
So the
wow.
cover was up, but like once I put the cover off just now, it was like, oh,
So are we actually live or not?
we're live.
Are you sure? Because it says it right there. Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Sorry. I really hope if you're watching that you've been enjoying this conversation about everything. Oh, God. Why do we even do this? Why do we even do this? Oh my God. I think when he asks you if you have any more questions, ask him if you can go over what you learned last time, and that'll help him remember what it was you talked about.
He usually does start off with that, but it's like, because he doesn't have like a set curriculum for me.
Well, yeah.
It's like we could be going through a book or something like that, but
Yeah, I told you to go through a
I
fucking
know
book.
you told me to go through a book, but he was like, we don't have to do that. You know, we can just kind of build our curriculum as we go.
Wonder where they're going.
I was like, oh, that sounds good. He seemed a little resistant. I was like, whatever book you want to work from, man, we can work from.
End of the road.
Well, you
We have
have.
to turn back.
You have this one, and this is the #1
Well,
suggested book to use.
No way we can take that.
So, I looked that up for you at some point. Because I think Ben wanted to learn Japanese with us. as
Yeah.
a group, so I was like looking up books, and this is like complete Spanish step by step.
No answer. Guess
Or
I'll
in
take that as a
Spanish is
yes.
pasa pasa? De pasa? But this is like the #1 book for learning Japanese.
nope.
Yeah?
So talking to Ben and talking to my teacher, one of the ones he was talking about was like Genki.
This is called
Genki 1, Genki 2, Genki 3.
But this one has an included CD-ROM.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I got this, and it has the CD-ROM with it. Japanese for busy people. You can get the kana version. There's also, I believe, a hiragana version.
See, that's the version I would need. Because we're starting with hiragana stuff.
Here, well, it does have.
Oh, I think I'm writing a Torterra.
Kana isn't that? Oh, kana is the syllabary they use for
We can broaden our search range.
foreign terms, right? For words that have a non-Japanese root. So if you're gonna write down computer programmer, that's what you're gonna write it in.
Ah.
So you don't.
I'm
He's learning conversation, not the writing as much.
See, you're missing important things by focusing on this kana book.
Yeah.
I can now throw the Moogle
Oh shit! What is
to
it?
get like further away treasure orbs. That's great.
Interesting.
Let me throw. No, I'm gonna say skip because I'm just gonna throw them.
Oh, that is interesting. This book. Yeah. So my friend who had majored in Japanese in college, had actually suggested that kana was what you learned first, because then you knew like a gajillion vocabulary terms already. Because they're words that come from other languages, like, you know.
Programa.
Yeah. Exactly. But this one is interesting because it has anything that's a Japanese word is written in kana. Like, it's not. It doesn't have like the Roman characters.
Oh, it's
for
a
it.
lady again.
I can't stand to even think about Flan. They're slimy and
Oh, I love
gooey,
her.
sticky and goopy. So gross.
I miss her glasses from World of Final Fantasy.
Yeah, she had glasses, that's right.
Take
Yep.
care of the giant Flan. You know what I mean by take care, right?
How did you get here, lady? Oh, that's right. She's like a paradox of some sort.
Yeah, she's something weird.
She's always there. And like when you were in that one place where if you went in the dark, you got attacked, she had her own spotlight just for her, wasting all that electricity.
Yeah, she probably has the money to pay for it, though.
With all the stuff you buy from her, because she's the only place to buy stuff. Oh, and you also have this book. You should, did you tell him that you had this other book in Japanese? I might have written it in, though.
Oh, thank you. And don't forget to take care of the flan. You
Oh.
I didn't buy anything from you, lady.
She says, it sounds like she's saying plant. Oh yeah, I did some highlighting, but I didn't write in it. Because you always yell at me if I write in books. What is this?
It's just wrong. Plus, then I wouldn't be able to use it.
Here's another book that I got that is really good for learning Japanese. They actually have, it's called Japanese in Mongoland. And they actually have, like, in the back, it has, like, oh no, it's in the back? Somewhere, maybe I had to buy a separate thing. But there's, like, a manga that goes through, and it's, like, chapter by chapter. It gets more complicated to read. You should go through this one with him. Well, the good thing is that I only highlighted one chapter. And I did write in it.
Wrote in the book.
Yeah, I think that writing in a book is a better way. Nani? It's a better way to like interact with it. You absorb the material better. I mean, everybody has different learning styles. I'll be, to be fair, it's like the #1 thing you learn in any sort of self-improvement or in psychology is that everybody has like but they have different balances of all 3 major learning styles, I think is what it is. 'Cause nobody's like, I can only learn by doing. Well, sometimes you read things and you do get information from that, like...
That's fair.
You know how to read. Or sometimes you hear something on the news and then you remember that, so you have some level of all of those,
Yeah.
of all of those things. But
Well,
there's
look,
primary.
I just know that my best learning method is for somebody to pay me to spend 40 hours a week learning it.
That's a good point.
Because that's literally the only time that like an online tutorial has really taught me a
Yeah.
programming language.
Yeah, they haven't given you any trainings in a while. You should ask them to give you more training.
I do fairly often.
That's true. I mean, you learn a lot from doing too. You have a really good job. I think you're very fortunate to work for the company you work for.
Yep.
Totally jealous. And I opened up this book and I found an old bill in it.
Ah.
Yeah, from 2013. I hope I paid this one.
I hope so as well. It's not likely.
I think we did pay this one. It was a 90-day same as cash financing place.
Ah.
They had apparently bought it immediately after. Yeah. Loans are pretty tricky. Anyway, show him the books you have. In my last Spanish lesson, she was like, do you own any Spanish textbooks? And I was like, why, yes, I do. And I pulled up all my books, including the one on my Kindle, and showed her them. And she was like, okay. She actually gave me homework. But that was like 3 weeks ago. I should do that homework.
You should definitely do that homework.
Yeah.
You should also do your other homework.
What's other? Oh, my real homework?
Yeah.
So...
Then you would be Master Heather.
I know. I'm gonna do it before I'm gonna do it, like... shit. I don't really have that much to do this week, but I was gonna do everything else before...
This is where they were all trying to get to.
Before Gen Con, so...
Be good, yeah.
I think you should... The thing about, like, homework, though, is that you have to think about it later. And I think that school children... I did not write this. This was not me. Somebody else wrote this book. They give kids too much homework, like, for sure. But there's a little bit about, like, bringing it... Like, maybe, like, once a week, or maybe something over the weekend would probably be good for kids.
Yeah.
Or adults, or anybody. Because it does, like, reinforce it and put you back in that mindset. Well, and you know about, like, in the summer, kids forget a lot of things, and they tend to lose, like,
The
you know.
summer slump or whatever it's called.
Yeah, and that's why we should have year-round school. But, you know, rich people wanting to take their kids someplace where it's cooler during the summer because they didn't have air conditioning, and, you know, it wasn't invented yet, so.
That and the... I think it was basically that and the harvest. That...
I think that was actually, like...
No, I think you're right.
Yeah, because I think I'm getting this from Adam Ruins Everything. It's not a fact I found out, you know, through careful study or anything.
Yeah, it's like thinking
it's a
about it.
classist thing.
Yeah, thinking about it, it's like I think that was like the thing. They're like, no, that's a myth because otherwise we would have fall vacation.
Yeah, harvest is towards the end of summer. I mean, we live in a great climate where we can harvest things throughout the year, for the most part.
December things kind of stop harvestable.
I mean, you could grow like stuff inside. My mom, she made me go, like, she was getting something from Craigslist. Did I tell you about this the one time? And she got the
halogen bulbs.
They were
halogen.
They weren't
things?
halogen bulbs. They were like from like they were like huge lampshades for like, they were like this big, right? Like if you know, around my arms here, they were like this big, and they were for like lights in a warehouse. This like lampshades, and she was like, "Oh man, these are so good." And the guy that we picked them up from was like, the person who was selling it was the person who had listed them on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or whatever. It was his son, and he was like, "What are you gonna use these for?" And my mom's like, "Oh my gosh!" And she like went into this like thing about like how she was gonna use them for like gardening and like growing lettuce in the winter. And he's like, I was wondering why my dad bought these. Like, I didn't know what they were for. That makes sense. But I guess you just put them on the ground and you can grow lettuce and shit in them. So.
Yep, makes sense.
Yeah. Just like you. Back then on Cocoon, that was really unusual.
We have things in common.
Oh my god, what happened?
Well, I'll make sure to introduce them to you. One of these days.
Oh, we just learned something about Snow's backstory. And I didn't...
No.
They were born on Grand Pulse?
I think he's talking about Vanille and Fang.
Oh, there's a thing over there. There's a chocobo.
That's right. All right, great. You're... I'm just gonna throw a Mog at that thing, and then monsters showed up.
What happens when you throw the Mog at it?
You can tell him to collect things you can't reach.
It's killing your Scandroid.
I noticed, but I was too late.
Where's your Kate Sith?
My what?
Your Kate Sith.
It's one. I think it's on one of them,
No?
or it may not be. We might have gotten rid of it.
Oh, because you're medicing.
Great.
Luckily, it's not as much of a problem because I've got Snow here playing like another commando.
Ah. Maybe I did right.
Probably did it a couple times.
Yeah, oh no, I definitely wrote in this one. The other one I didn't write in. Oh, katakana is the other syllabary. It just says kana.
That's the bit that's always weird. You got hiragana, katakana, romanji, and
Kanji.
kanji.
Yeah.
I pushed the wrong button. Mog takes forever to open those things.
Nice.
Okay, so how do you say Monday in Japanese?
Don't know.
You don't know that? It's right here.
Well, how do you say Monday in Japanese?
I don't know. My pronunciation for Japanese is really bad. I'll get to it in a second.
Okay, where do I go?
Oh, you're right about the months, though. It's like Ichigatsu and Nigatsu. It's just like 1 month, 2 month.
Yep. There's the...
Oh, it looks like the days of the week are actually, like, stupid like ours. Where they have, like, a stupid name. So it's like moon, fire, water, tree, metal, earth, sun. So it's like feng shui.
Ah.
Getsuyobi, Kaiyobi, Suiyobi. There, you can impress your Japanese teacher. Language learning is super fun. It doesn't even matter what language it is. I feel like I chose to pursue Spanish because I'd already had like a background knowledge in it, like from high school.
Yeah.
But I could have like learned, you know, something else. I don't know what else. I wouldn't have been able to go to Latin America, and you know, maybe I could have learned Portuguese. But Latin America's cheap to fly to. I guess Montreal
Yeah, I was
would
very
also...
carefully not blowing up your spot about like you being like, oh, this book's really good to learn Japanese. I'm like, and you didn't.
I didn't. No, because learning from a book is hard.
That's true.
I have no one to talk to then. And also, the problem with learning Japanese is the first 3 chapters in this book is learning the syllabaries. And that's not fun. Nobody wants to learn how to read, again. It's hard enough to learn how to talk.
Yeah, you're right. Learn to read is bullshit.
Yeah, I don't want to learn to read again. So that's always what stopped me with it, was the learning to read part. And that's what they insist that you learn first. But I guess if you do a sort of informal Japanese lesson online, they'll teach you some talking stuff.
Yeah. But like
So-
he's mentioned that like a lot of his other students don't really care about like the learning to read part of it.
Oh, yeah?
So like he's like, yeah, they're just kind of they're okay with like just staying illiterate about it and learning to speak Japanese. And I guess other students like either want to talk to Japanese people or just want to like understand anime.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of his students, you said he was teaching in Malaysia, right? Like, a lot of them just need to be able to speak it.
Well, there he's teaching like school children in Malaysia, but like the students on the website.
Oh, yeah. The problem is, if you're going to learn to read it, you're going to have to do that, like, study bullshit that both of us hate, you know, where we just read.
Yeah.
Like...
Well, since we're trying, like, he and I are trying to... I was mentioning, it's like, yeah, I do want to learn to read so I can, like, navigate Japan a little bit. He did point me towards an app called Write It Japan.
Yeah. Is someone texting you?
I have no idea
Give
what
me my
it...
phone. If it's the chat, I think it is.
No, actually, it's Charlie.
Just give me the phone. Is it our chat with Charlie or your chat with Charlie?
I don't know yet. Here, take over.
Okay, I need to heal this Scandroid. Kill it! Is he in crisis?
No,
You don't have to tell me.
it's not like a mental health crisis. He is really mad at Star.
Oh, at your work. Okay.
He's really mad
Don't-
at my work thing.
You don't have to be specific.
It's more that there's some...
Is he working right now and you're playing video games?
Yep. Apparently he's still going.
You should go work. Do you think maybe it would be better if you could go work now?
No, I didn't take off like basically half the day on Monday.
Yeah, oh shit.
Like I think he was like in the bathroom for like half the morning.
Oh, is his stomach bothering him again?
No, not the same level.
So, this is the pronouns, the personal pronouns section of the book. Before we start, a few important things need clarifying so this lesson can be understood. First of all, you should know Japanese is a very hierarchical language. According to the social position of the person speaking and the one listening, the speaker will use certain words which he or she would never use in other situations. Further on, we will give you some examples so you can get a clearer idea. Second, Japanese spoken by men can be quite different from that spoken by women. There are expressions, words, and constructions which a man would never use for fear of sounding effeminate, and vice versa.
Like atashi versus watashi.
Ah. Even a light understanding of these characteristics of Japanese culture is essential to get an idea of how the language works. At least those two words are very similar, though. Like, it's...
Yeah.
You know, you can...
But you would say atashi, and I would say watashi, except we probably really wouldn't say that much at all.
Except for we would just say, you know, what's your name, and you would say Brian.
I'd be like, Brian des, or ore wa Brian. You'd be like, unless it's like super formal, which you might be like, watashi wa Brian.
Yeah. Isn't there a single word for I? In Indo-European languages, there is only one first-person singular pronoun. It's the I in English, yo in Spanish, or ik in German.
Yep.
J in French, u in Portuguese, and so on. The same doesn't happen in Japanese. There are a wide variety of pronouns, both in the first and second person. The third person is an exception, and we'll see why later. Depending on whether you're a man or woman, and depending on who you are talking to, you will use a different personal pronoun. So, in the first table, there's a table that has the most common ones. This is interesting. Here are a few simple examples of which pronouns certain people would use in certain situations. A 40-year-old Osaka-born employee with an important company. If he or she is talking to the boss, watashi. If he or she is talking to his wife, washi. So that's a 20-year-old girl. If she is talking to her boyfriend, atashi. If she is talking to her teacher, watashi. So he might be talking in more like my Spanish teacher, my current one that I'm using, asked if I wanted to use to or usted on our lessons. You know, like do I want to be more formal or do I want to be more informal? I thought like, yeah, two is fine. You know,
yeah,
two es bueno. Because it doesn't matter, you know. Like I could go and I could speak to like someone in Spain or, you know, in Latin America, and I could accidentally be informal because that's what I'm used to, and they would understand because I'm not a native speaker. That's at least how I look at it. Maybe that's a very American view of it, but just make it informal. And this one is a 25-year-old male student, if he is talking to another student, ore, with the father of a friend, boku. So, it's a lot in here to absorb, and I can't learn other languages until I'm at least advanced or immediate advanced or, you know, high advanced or high intermediate. Can't do that. It's against the rules.
You can't learn languages while you're high.
I know. I can't do shit while I'm high. Also, if I own a gun, I cannot be high ever, so cheers.
Real tired of these monsters.
It's kind of how Final Fantasy works, though. But the point...
Somewhat true. Somewhat true. Now, I'm told this one's a lot less grindy.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the one podcast I really like, since the first one has referred to it as, like, yep, every once in a while you just have to take a walk in the woods.
At least it's better than a hallway.
People start to make mistakes when they stress out too much.
So the point is, you don't have to, like, use this as a study, but maybe you could look at it and have him explain some of those things I just went over with you.
Okay,
Might look.
let's do this.
If you want to try, be my
Right
guest.
now, because I want to get into Hiragana, he told me to find an app called Write It Japanese.
You want me to download it for you and put it on your home
If you
screen?
try to use a
Yeah,
key
might as
that's
well. I
made for
don't think I've
someone else,
downloaded it yet.
well,
I am bailing for the night.
see,
Oh,
Does
Charles.
this mean Snow can't come with
Carlos.
us?
yep.
Carlos
he
Grandel.
stays.
Carlos
Guess I drew a
Grandel.
short straw. And don't you do anything
Seriously, he's wearing her blouse.
like trying to take on
Like a
giant
women's
clan single
Yeah, I mean,
Blouse
I
with like
feel
a
bad.
lace.
It does look
Edge.
very feminine. Like, I don't mind. Like, wear whatever you want. Like, that comedian that you like to listen to, or that you watched every once in a while who wears...
Eddie Izzard?
Yeah. He,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
wears whatever
Wear,
the fuck
wear
he feels
whatever
like.
you want, but
But-
it's one of those like,
That's not his normal style. Like...
no, no, that doesn't. That really doesn't seem like him.
doesn't feel like Snow. Like,
And
Snow...
maybe it's maybe 300 years in the future he's like decided to tell us how he feels.
Yeah, maybe he wants
How we
to
got
start...
Coliseum.
Ooh. Maybe he wants to start wearing these things. What's it called? Right Japanese?
We're in question mark as fuck.
I'm gonna take
Yeah, it's
something...
called Write It Japanese.
Now, are you? If I put it on your home screen where your like weather app is, or is that the best? That's where I try to put things on my home screen when I want to remember to use them.
I cluster things because I go back and forth all the time. So there's all my language apps.
Okay, what was the name of this app again? I'm a little bit buzzed. I'm sorry.
Write It Japanese.
Okay, gotta go Play Store. Your phone is so small. Do you want to switch phones so that I can have like the one that's me sized, so I can actually take selfies, and you can have the one that's you sized?
No, it's all right.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I mean, the problem was that I went right from a Nexus 6P, which was, XL size, to...
Hold on. There's somebody talking to us.
I wonder if there's... Oh, it's probably just for languages that have different alphabets. Ooh, Japanese dungeon.
Is it Keith David?
Who said
It's
that?
the Arbiter.
That guy.
That guy!
It's my Arbiter face. From Halo 3, that guy.
I don't remember, I'm sorry.
Rude.
Here, fill this for me. Wow.
An omen of misfortune. Something that doesn't belong here.
I don't think he wants to do his
Okay,
job.
then.
He's like not
We'll make
really
you a
into
deal.
arbitrating.
Well, his arbitrating.
Arbitration?
Yeah, is telling you need to go. You need to go.
You want this omen gone from here, right? Give it to us, and we'll leave you and your realm in peace. What do you say to that?
Oh, it's another one of those anomalies? Is that what they're called?
I don't know. Is this the anomaly or is this the artifact?
Oh, artifact. I don't know what the anomaly is. I kind of just made that one up.
No, I think the anomaly is when we've been like fighting giant things.
Do you want to do Twitch Sing sometime?
No,
We could do
suppose
Twitch
not.
things.
Alex was doing Twitch Sings, and that's when I saw that she was on Twitch. But I didn't know what it was. It just looked like she was playing Rock Band.
He acts like he's everyone's boss. Just marches
She
ahead.
sounds good. Her voice is getting real good.
Idiots.
I haven't heard her sing seriously in like years, like since my wedding. So
Thinking self-sacrifice can
my
somehow
wedding, not
save you.
yours.
But people die anyway.
Noel, I hope you don't get yourself killed.
Listen, you
After
Renoa
all,
wannabe.
You've risked your life a lot of times. To help me, I mean.
Here you go. Can I have my phone now? You gotta
I
plug
can
yours
tell
in.
the difference between
It's gonna
fantasy
die
and
soon. It's
reality.
at 45%.
I'm not like Snow.
I didn't say you were.
He just took off and left you alone. He did what he wanted.
Oh my god, I get so many contacts from recruiters all the fucking time.
Yep.
It's because I work in IT.
I'm really tired of Noel like shit
I
talking our
understand
boyfriend.
why Snow
I
made
know.
Noel so angry.
He's
I'm
super
like, we're
jealous.
gonna get married, and he's like,
Once
that's
upon
on
a
hold
time,
because I've gotta like
someone
protect
Noel
some
loved
shit.
left him behind.
And then Noel's like, fucking your
Hurt him almost
boyfriend's
more than he
bullshit.
could bear.
Not like me. If I was around, like I would treat you like great all the time.
And
He didn't have to tell me.
fucking me is not
The pain
bullshit,
on his face made it clearer
but
than words ever
fucking your
could.
boyfriend is bullshit. I'm
Snow,
confused.
more like Chad. Am I right?
I would treat you nice.
I can't believe that worked.
Lucky he was open to reason.
I am not. It's just that I've accepted another job recently, and then suddenly I got like contacted by like 5 recruiters.
They're all like, please submit for this PennDOT job.
No, I mean PennDOT's not hiring right now, so because they had just hired 2 people. The thing is,
You were one of them.
honestly, I think, and we have to stop saying specific names of companies and products that we support, to be honest. So let's just say
Stamps.com.
Stamps.com, right? Or the Pennsylvania government, whatever. I don't think the agency I'm working for is hiring anymore. But I was really surprised that I was like their #1 candidate, and I think honestly it's because there are 2 things that happened during the interview. They had I'm pretty good at discussing my soft skills, but sometimes it sounds like bullshit. Oh, what is integrity to you? Integrity is doing what you say you're going to do, and that's it. If I tell you I'm going to be at work on time every day, then I'm going to do that. If I'm going to get 50 tickets done a day, I better damn well do that. I didn't say damn well.
I mean, it makes sense.
Okay, but
And that probably appealed to them because, from what I understand, one of the people you are replacing, like, called off several times in the first 6 months.
Yeah, they actually talked a little bit about that. They asked me if I had anything scheduled in the next 6 months. And I told them straight up, I'm like, Gen Con, this is happening. I will be gone for 5 days.
Yep. Luckily, starting on the 5th is good because apparently they didn't remember you telling them about Gen Con. They were like, oh, she didn't mention it in the interview. You're like, what? Yes, I did.
Did you tell Doug that I did?
Like he and I talked about it. He was like recommending that you
Skip Gen Con?
start on the 5th. And he's like, yep, no, that's fine. She was smart enough to do that anyway.
Yeah, well, and I told my recruiter because something that people may not know about government work is that it is really expensive to hire a government employee because of all the benefits and the retirement plans. So a lot of the positions will be filled by vendors. Especially in Pennsylvania. They have, I think it's OST? No, I don't know. It's one of the agencies that basically just puts out bulletins, and recruiters just latch onto it and then go on LinkedIn and contact me about them. And apparently they get paid like a flat rate, so it's like, recruiter company X.
I know it's just here. I'm just seeing that there's like another gate here.
That's fine. You keep playing. I'm paying attention. So like company X they're gonna get paid this amount, like maybe $60 an hour, and for the employee that they find, so they have to go out and find the best one. Who's me? It was me. But they can offer me whatever benefits, whether I'm a 1099 or a W-2 employee, and whatever hourly rate they want. So I have been offered I have been approached about this particular position by at least 4 different companies, vendors.
I thought so.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I noticed that for a few of them that I would get emails about the same position 4 times.
Oh yeah, that's how it works. And they would have different rates on it, and some of them would be contract, or some of them would be 1099 positions, some of them would be W-2 positions. I just happened to get contacted by one that offered me, and the rates will be different, right? I've been offered, I'm not going to say my exact salary, but I've been offered $13 an hour for this position, for example. And then I just happened to be offered $17 an hour for this position. I was like, and it was a W-2, and I'm like, well, that's a lot better than, $15 an hour on 1099 because I have to pay my own taxes. So I was like, okay, I'll accept your offer for an interview.
Yeah. I literally had one job where they were talking to me and it was 1099 at one rate or W-2 at a lower rate.
And they have the option to do that. And
yeah,
if they
and I was like, nah, I want the 1090, or I want the W2 rate.
And that's what's another thing that's interesting about it is that I was told by my recruiter, or not my recruiter, by the manager of the help desk. He's like, the team lead's like, okay, so we're at the end of the interview. Manager wants to go over his little spiel about vendors. So he gave me, that's how I learned all of this. Because I was always wondering why I was being offered different rates for it. He's like, take a look online, find out what the average rate for this sort of position is. You might even be able to find the one for this specific position. And if you feel like, and he said this, he's like, if you feel like your vendor is screwing you, tell them I had a great interview with Jason, or whatever his name was, and you want to be paid more. Like, I almost went to them and was like, I wanted more vacation time. I almost did that with vacation time, but I was like, I don't care, it's fine.
So the
Yeah.
pair
I'm a
of
woman,
Well, you
I
didn't
don't-
get vacation time at all,
No,
did you?
I'm not getting vacation time, but that makes it easier to call off, or easier to request off, I think.
It depends. I know that, like, because you're taking a tech support desk, it's still not going to be the easiest.
Well, it depends on coverage, and that's always going to be the case in any call center. You know, I've been working call centers for almost a decade. It's just kind of where my skill set fell. But yeah, so I was offered this, out of like 4 different recruiters who have offered me the chance to interview for this position in the last year, this one offered the highest pay rate. So,
Yep.
that's why I took it up. What were we talking about? It was very interesting. Oh, and the point is, and I was their #1 candidate, and I think, like I said, it was because of the soft skills. I was like, okay, well, that's like really generic, you know, anybody can answer those. But they had a hard skills portion, where the first thing they said was, open up Internet Explorer and go to this website. And then he's like, okay, great. He's like, now go to a different browser, excuse me, and do a Google search for the same website you just found, or you just went to. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll open up Chrome, because they had Chrome and Mozilla there, so I wanted to show them that I use Google Chrome.
Yep.
And then he was like, alright, he's like, now close the browser, open up Internet Explorer, and go to this website and do the typing test. And I was like, okay. So I was able to do that all really well.
Yeah.
And then it was like, or he told me to minimize the browsers and stuff, and he's like, okay, now go to the task manager and close all the windows. So I was like, okay, you know, I'll Control-Alt-Delete. There's probably, and I think part of it that they were looking at was how technical I was with it, because I know that there's another way. You told me to go just straight to the task manager, but I've never.
There's
like,
one, I want to say it's like Control-Shift or Control-Alt-Escape or something, or
Yeah.
Control-Shift-Escape. And then the other one is like you can right-click the taskbar and just go like launch Task Manager.
Well, I guess he wanted to see how I got to the task manager. Went Control-Alt-Delete. So when I did the typing test, I basically, like, 45 words per minute is, I guess, average, with like 45 words per minute with 1 error. But I thought it was funny because he's like one of them like, oh, we should probably talk because, you know, it's a call center. He's like, oh yeah, we should definitely be talking in the background to see how she deals with distractions. And one guy's like, how was your lunch today? He's like, oh, I had pizza. It was really, and he started like going on about that. So I did really well on the hard skills because those are really easy hard skills.
Yeah.
And then I think, so that was the #1 reason I think that I got the job. The second reason is I think that we clicked sort of, like, socially. Because they asked me, they're like, so, you know, we're a really, like, tight-knit group here at this desk. To be honest, it's kind of a boys' club. We all kind of have the same interests. And I'm like, I know where this is going. I know what they want me to say. And it's not like I'm lying, right?
You're like,
because
and you're like, I play video games.
I play video games. Just like, so do you have any hobbies outside of work, and what are they? And I'm like, oh, well, you know, I work in tech support, so.
It's like, I think you guys know.
I think you know what I like to do. He's like, no. then they just looked at me like I was crazy because that kind of sounded like an innuendo, right? But it was like, I was like, well, I like to play video games, you know, I'm like because he already, and I tend to not bring up family members or like my marital status or whether I have kids, which is, I do not have kids, but, or anything like that in an interview, but they already knew about you because Doug mentioned you and said you looked like Hagrid.
Yeah.
Which you do not, because your hair is now not long and you don't have that much of a beard. But he said you're like Hagrid.
I have looked like Hagrid much more in certain periods of life.
So the team lead was like, Doug said that your husband looks like Hagrid. Is that true? And I'm like, not anymore. He's more well groomed now, but
like,
he is that
once
tall.
upon a time, he was insane.
So they already knew about you. So I was like, yeah. I'm like, I like to play video games. My husband and I stream a couple of times a week. And he's
I was gonna ask you if you were like, oh yeah, no, my husband spent too much money and now we stream once a week.
Oh, and I was like, and they're like, oh, your husband likes. I'm like, my husband mostly does the stream. He's like, oh, he likes streaming. I'm like, yeah, he also likes to set up servers. So I don't know why I was telling them about you a bit, but I was like, he's like, and then he's like, oh yeah, because, you know, it's sort of a boys club and we're all kind of nerdy. I'm like, I understand. I've been working in call centers and tech support for a couple years. I know how it works.
It's
I'm
a
like,
fair thing to check on the chemistry thing, because, like, you
Oh, no,
don't
for
want to be
real.
like that because you do want to check, but, like, where I work, it's like there are women who work with me. And they're like, oh, you nerds and your nerdy video game stuff. And, like,
well, they're like project
everyone...
managers and stuff.
That's true. They're, like, system analysts, and they're, like, a different section of the thing.
But
And they get... we do invite them. It's like, hey, if you guys want to come, like, we will... You know, it's like, we've definitely had moments where we're like, hey, for this section of the evening, we'll play board games and, like, Nintendo Switch
Yeah.
games so that you guys don't have to worry about it.
Well, no, I totally get it. Like, it's super tough when, like, because I've worked in, like, the call center I work in now is technically we're help desk, but it's more customer service. So there are people there who are not necessarily, like, part of that boys club. We'll keep using that term because it fits. And it is hard for them. Like, when, you know, Tyler or Mike are, like, talking about, like, Marvel, you know, the Marvel movies or something, and they get, like, really heated about it.
Yeah.
It's easier if everybody gets along. I don't know if that's something that they can discriminate against with, like, employment, like your outside
Yes,
interest.
yes, a little bit. Like, they couldn't say, hey, you have to be in the Marvel movies or else we're not going to hire you, although we are at an at-will Pennsylvania state, so...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you could have a bad opinion about
always
about
just-
Avengers Endgame, and they'd be like,
I just don't think you're gonna fit.
yeah, I think it's better for the company if we,
We go with one of the other options.
yeah, but 100%, like a chemistry test is a very,
Well,
is like a normal thing for them to check and see if like you're going to be good with the team
and
by seeing if your chemistry with them is good.
And I did mention, you know, and I was happy they didn't ask me what video games I play, because I don't play as many. Like, I could say, like, oh, I'm really into, like, the DS, the Nintendo DS Zelda games, which is true. Like, if they had asked me what games I played, that's probably...
I don't know, I feel
something
like that's
played
not a
really
problem.
hard. And then I would have said, like, well, I've been playing Final Fantasy XIII on Twitch. You know, I like those, but I can't be like, well, my favorite genre is romance, visual novels. You know, like, I like those. I like games where I don't have to do a whole lot of, you know, hand-eye coordination. Like, that I don't
By the
wanna
way, I
get into
haven't made the promo art for it, but look forward to, I think we're going to do Doki Doki in October.
that. In Doki, oh yeah,
Because then
right.
it'll have been like 2 years since you played it, or a year and a half or something, and you'll have forgotten enough of it to freak out again, hopefully.
Yeah, if you're listening right now, definitely tune in for that if you like to hear people screaming.
Yep.
And actually crying.
Actually crying and
Actually
actually
crying.
begging me to stop clicking
Yeah.
the mouse.
Yeah, it was really, and it's not a very long game, so we could get it done in an evening. And like,
Oh, yeah.
100%, because that's...
Oh, that'll be like a Saturday stream where we start at noon, and then like really hit the tough stuff by like 3 or 4 in the afternoon.
It is a visual novel, and it is in that style, but it's not like if you just go through one girl's quest line, I guess, or one girl's story, you're not getting the full experience. You have to go through 100% of that game. So,
Yeah.
like, it's It'll take us about 5 or 6 hours. I don't know. Maybe I could like
Come on,
take
Mom.
some Tylenol with codeine or something. I don't
No,
use drugs.
I don't think you need to like.
I don't
Yeah, I
know.
don't think you
know
need
if
to
I'll
like
react the
abuse
same way.
anything. I think you'll react enough to be.
We'll see. We could also just watch a scary movie. Like, I just... Like, I like that everybody knows about me, that I'm, like, incredibly jumpy. And
I mean, I don't like scary movies. And maybe if there's, like, a good game around the time, maybe we'll turn left and
yeah.
do that, or maybe we'll do that just for the fun of it,
Well,
outside of the...
I'm just extremely reactive. And I think that, like, my old work wife, Roxy, remember her? She...
We both got killed before I could
I'm sorry, I was
pull up
talking.
and save anybody.
But Roxy told me that she's just so jumpy that, like, or anxious that she could watch somebody hide behind. She like pointed to like a pillar that was in the office. She's like, I could watch Joe stand behind that pillar as I walk towards him, and then he jumps out at me, and I would still scream and fall to the floor. And I'm like, isn't that such a good...
You're like, me too, me too.
I'm like, I understand your pain, girl. Like, I was like, that's perfect. That is exactly who I am, too. Like, it was...
Ooh, we can go to Brescia Ruins in 300 as fuck.
300 is fuck?
The
So...
Brescia ruins
Hold on.
suddenly experienced an influx of monstrous intruders. A paradox was thought to be the cause.
Oh great,
but before
that's what I'm
investigation could be
looking
launched,
forward to,
the
is more of like,
situation was already
I like how there's this
out.
GIF running in the background. It's like,
Government all but
oh great, it'll be more of Noel
and
like
appealed
saying
to
a
the
thing and then
general
crossing his
populace
arms all
possible
mad
solutions.
about it.
Because he wants
The
to
ruins crawled
not...
with
He
mercenaries
wants to have
and
sex with
researchers
Snow, actually.
looking-
Is what it is.
That's probably it.
So, I gotta finish... Dogs need to go outside, so I gotta go let them out. But I gotta finish up telling you about why I'm the best.
Well, we're
candidate.
about to go through some more story.
That's fine. I'll watch this with you. So so that happened with the with that. It's like, oh yeah, I like video games, and then they took more time to tell me about how they're nerdy and how they've had, you know, office culture issues with it before. And then I mentioned, I'm like, oh, I also like to play Magic. He's like, oh, nobody else plays Magic here. I'm like, yeah, I like to go, you know, I spend my Fridays
Hold
playing
on,
Magic.
to talk.
So the government is asking civilians to help out, Kubo.
Oh, your hair looks white.
Three of us are going to help, Kubo. Nothing makes us happier than
Oh yes,
working
because we've
with
been snowed on.
Oh, it is literally, it is white. I thought it was just the light.
The more we help, the more the government will pay for our trouble, Kubo. I've already made room in my pockets, Kubo.
You don't have pockets.
Kubo?
Oh, you should put an outfit on
We're
him,
getting
though.
paid. I wonder how much. But what are you gonna do with all that gil anyway? Got your eye on something?
I'll figure that out once I have the deal, Kubo. First, we have to earn it, Kubo.
Hey guys, it looks like we're not the only ones interested in the rewards the government has to offer.
So, I had mentioned in the interview that I, like, you know, like, oh, I also play Magic the Gathering on Fridays, you know, instead of going out. But they didn't really pick up on that, so I was really hoping that one of them, like, played Magic.
Ah,
But one of the issues, you know, with me being so reactive to things is I can't really play Magic in the office because I have done that before.
well you can, but you're gonna have to like
Tone it
really
down.
tone it down and hold it in until you like get to know them well enough that you can be like, no, fuck you.
Well, I had told, because, like, one of our friends didn't have a paper deck because he had quit years ago, and I'm trying to get him back in because I'm a bad influence. And I was like, go ahead, proxy a standard deck, bring it in, it'll be fine. Well, I have, like, a fairly budget competitive deck that has done well. Like, this was a couple months ago, obviously it's not standard anymore, but I had no, it was like half a year ago. So I was like, I'll bring mine, you know, we can all just play, it'll be fine. And he fucking proxied, like,
With this many monsters
the
prowling
most
the area,
expensive
all we
deck
can
in
do is
standard
take
at
them
the
out
time.
one at a time,
Of course.
starting
Of
with
course
the
he did, like,
According to
I
my
mean, if
extensive
anyone doesn't know what I
research,
mean by
there should be some
proxy
kind of
is
device
either,
that's been
like,
recording the
printing out
biology of
copies
these
of a card.
monsters for some time now.
Oh, sorry.
If only I could find that valuable piece of equipment, it would certainly make dealing with the monsters a lot
Yeah,
easier.
get that shit, guys. Come on.
You mean you'll do it? You'll help me look for the recording device?
Put a
I
fucking hat on. Why are you letting it snow on your hair? Jesus. Okay, anyway. So, he had proxied, like, the most expensive competitive deck in Standard at the time. I mean, to put it into, like, reference, like, my deck cost me, like, $90, like, if I paid all cash for it, and his was, like, $275. So I got really mad. I mean, wouldn't you get
like,
mad?
This fucking bullshit.
You bring a gun to a knife fight or whatever? No, I'm a little bit buzzed.
It's like, this is funky bull shrimp.
Yeah, funky bullshit, man. I was like, you can't do that. We were having a fun game, me, you, and the boss, and you bring in, like, you know, super competitive shit. And I got mad, and, well, I don't know, how do you describe that? You don't get mad, like, passionate? You get passionate about something?
Yeah.
And, like, the HR lady came in and was like, is everything okay? I heard yelling. I'm like, yeah, I'm just having fun, guys. It's cool. Like, it's cool, whatever. So I can't play Magic at work. Anyway.
You could, but you'll have to be like, oh no, this is a fun game. What was the thing you used to say when we'd be playing with like all of our friends? You'd be like, it's a girl game.
It's girl game.
We all win.
When you play girl game, everybody wins. Because we're all very supportive of each other.
Which is just so, like, sexist.
You're right, it is. And I shouldn't use things like that. We'll call it kindergarten. How about that?
Kindergarten games are good.
Yeah, call it kindergarten. There we go.
Special snowflake game.
No, I don't want to call it special snowflake game because
nobody's feelings get hurt.
No, it's a little bit offensive because we were raised within the special snowflake culture where we were told we were special, that we could do what we, whatever we wanted to, and that is like the failing of it, and it's offensive because maybe our parents weren't the best at raising us. I don't know. Most of the people who are watching Twitch are Generation X. They couldn't have been our parents. So people who are not our generation, generation.
It's basically like millennials on down.
Yeah, I would think that most people
Generation X is one generation older than us.
Yeah, I would say of the generation that is older than the millennials, Generation X is probably the highest. I would say that the people of all the generations that watch Twitch, Generation Z is probably the most common. Or
Probably.
My generation.
We don't play Fortnite or Minecraft, so.
Oh my god, you moved the Google Home over there.
Yes.
Thank you. I was gonna ask what the youngest member of Generation Z is, or Generation Y is. That's who we are. Another story about millennials, right? Okay. I have stories about all topics. When we were at the lake, I realized I bought like the nacho cheesier, or the spicy nacho Doritos instead of the nacho cheesier, and I was like, well, I have 2 stories about Doritos. Let me tell my stories about Doritos. And I thought it was funny because I was like, I told both of my stories about Doritos.
You're like, life is weird enough that I have multiple Dorito stories.
I have 2 stories about Doritos that I can tell in polite company. There's probably at least one other story about Doritos that's not polite company. Anyway, we will leave it at that. I actually don't have a follow-up, but that's up there. But there's at least 2 stories that I can tell about Doritos. So I was like, I told the stories, and my mom and my family members all laughed, and I was like, and that's my stories about Doritos. Brian comes back out of the lake, and he's like, oh! And he begins to tell story number 1 about Doritos. I'm like, I already told him that one. He's like, did you tell them this one? And I'm like, yeah, that was story number 2. He's like, that's the only stories we have about Doritos. Anyway, the point is that we like to talk.
I don't think we'd necessarily have spent money on microphones and all that sort of stuff to talk while we're playing video games if we didn't.
Should we tell our viewers the stories about Doritos?
Maybe when you get back from letting the dogs out.
Okay, I will do that. Dogs are probably
going to take a moment and see if I gain enough stuff to level up from running around there. Alright, Sarah. Imperil's important. We're going to go for that one. That's our shell. That sounds good. Give him a little bit more medic. I'm not using his medic. Maybe I'm wasting things on him. Let's see. There was some other people who could take the pulse stats. Okay, we've already checked out this item. More computer boops. I just turned around. Nope, apparently I am fighting these things, whether I want to or not. I just may not be supposed to be here because everything is beating me down hard. I think we are going to leave this area for now because I am getting rinsed by every single thing we run into.
I'm back! Hello.
Sorry.
How are the dogs?
They went outside, I think they both shit, and then they ran around like crazy.
Ah.
It's weird though, people don't do that. Alright, you'll have to remind me what we're... Oh, Dorito stories. They're not that interesting. I think what was interesting about it was like, those are the only stories I have about Doritos. Like...
What was the word? So it was...
I have to look it up real quick.
Atravita?
Atravita. Atravita. I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Well, the first story is just simply that, like, Cool Ranch Doritos in Guatemala and Mexican-speaking, or not Mexican, Spanish-speaking countries, including Mexico, it's marketed as, Cool Ranch Doritos are marketed as American Doritos.
I thought it was Cool American.
Yeah.
Cool
Well, you're the one
American.
who knows the...
No, you're the one. It was...
I didn't go. You told me it was
No.
Cool American.
No, I told you about what the nacho cheesier Doritos are in
You told me about both of them.
Guatemala. No, our former D&D friend with the red hair told us. Excuse me. About the Cool American Doritos. I think ranch flavored Doritos are disgusting. To be honest, although I don't even eat them.
You're just not American.
Yeah, I mean, I do love ranch dressing. I think it's because I like the nacho cheesier so much that I just don't like the ranch. Or I don't want to eat the ranch ones. I guess they're okay, especially if I can like dip them in guacamole. So I spent 2 weeks in Guatemala, and I'm going to mention it every once in a while because it made me a very worldly person. You know, I experienced life for real because I went to Latin America.
I mean, look, that's what you do when you go to like another country once.
Once.
You know, and you're white.
And
You just talk about like when I went to Guatemala, and you're like, when did you go to Guatemala? It's just like 27 years ago.
27 years ago for 2 weeks, which is amazing because you know.
It's like 2 weeks, but once you count in travel time, it's like 12 days.
It took me like almost the entire time I was there to meet another American. Then I met another American like 2 days in a row. Like there's not a lot of Americans who go there. Like they probably do, but they don't do what I was doing. which is sort of like budget travel, you
I feel
know?
like it's a weird class shame that I feel slightly like I need to like make the point of like, oh, it's important to note I almost like maybe when I was like 10, but for the most part I didn't leave the country until I was in my late 20s.
Yeah.
And then like just to go like a little bit south. Like I've never been to Europe because
To Mexico. We went to Mexico before I went to Guatemala.
yes, we did. We went on a cruise in our like late 20s because we finally had jobs where we could afford that.
Oh, we went to
but
the
like,
Bahamas first. Yeah, I went to the Bahamas, which is in fact another country.
but yeah, but it
No
was
one's
like
hurt, right?
it's like I don't know if this is some weird internalized like class shame where I'm like, oh, by the way, like I wasn't rich enough to do this as a child. Like this is
You got yourself there. You pulled yourself up by the bootstraps, even though that's a phrase that's supposed to not make sense because you can't literally do that.
yeah, that's literally the point of that phrase
Yeah.
is that
Pull yourself up by the
it's
bootstraps.
ridiculous to ask anybody to do it because
You can't. Like, for one thing, our boots don't have straps on them anymore. There's no reason, because,
I mean they might.
well, they're
There was like a
designed
there
so
was
that
a
you
thing
can
a
get your
few
foot in them more easily.
well there was like a thing a few years ago where like a lot of women were wearing boots for like for horse riding.
Yeah.
That was like just a style thing.
Oh. And they do have straps inside, but you can. The thing is that they're more like designed for your foot to slide into them.
Yeah.
Like it's.
Oh, trust me, you didn't need like boot straps like Matt did when he was wearing like Civil War boots.
Yeah, they might be there to look cool, but they're not. Like, just like you don't really need a garter belt anymore, it's kind of just a sexy thing.
I mean, yes, they have like stay up thigh high type stuff.
If you don't have like massive thighs.
I was gonna say, but like for people like you, like some of those like
would
some of
never
those
wear
are some
thigh highs.
fantastic garter belts.
I'm extremely modest. I
Like
would
that
never wear
industrial
anything
one.
Like that. Oh my god, that's the best garter belt ever. It's designed for hockey players. If you go to sockdreams.com,
Is it?
It is. Yeah, it literally says the instructions. It's for hockey players, and it's like
Are hockey players a lot sexier than I thought they were?
it's not a sexy garter
It's like
belt.
Wayne
It's-
Gretzky
it's
wearing
literally-
thigh high fishnets underneath.
I don't know. Go to sockdreams.com. Hashtag sockdreams sponsor us. They have these.
Hashtag anybody.
It's they have this. It's called like the industrial garter belt, and it's just like if you can imagine if you have ever sewn anything before, like a very thick piece of black elastic. That's, I would say like 2 inches, and it's just a belt with elastic, and then it has like 2 pieces on the front and the back going down like a garter belt. Like it's the shape of a garter belt, but it's like super comfortable. And it holds things up. I don't know if anyone who may have worn thigh highs with the garter belt before may have found that they didn't hold up very well.
And it's got like the clamps that you would put on like suspenders.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have. They're not like those like weird like hook clamps where you're supposed to kind of stick them halfway through the thigh high or whatever.
Oh man, no, these are great. They are like very like practical, very practical thigh highs. If you have some cool like socks that you want to wear with your like knee-length dresses or whatever the fuck you want to wear them with. They're not feminine at all. They just do the job. I love them. Hashtag.
But that being said, don't get me wrong, they're still sexy.
I mean, they still have that line going down your thigh in the front and the back. But yeah, I think if you look at the description on them, it says that they're designed for hockey players. I didn't know that hockey players wear garters, but
All I can think of is like
sexy, like,
the Twitter thing. It's like the invention of fishnets, and it's like a longshore fisherman. Oh God, I'm trapped in the fishing net. It's like, is it just me or is Dave being a little sexy right now? It's like, no, Dave's definitely being like super hot right now.
like with his leg kicking around, like.
Yep.
I forgot what we were talking about. What were we talking about?
Sexy fisherman.
No, we weren't. Shut up.
Nope, that was the main topic at hand.
Shut up. Oh my god. He just didn't like whatever we were talking about. It's fine.
Atlas is
Um,
it could have been, but since the giant's remains disappeared,
We're left with nothing to
Why
analyze.
is he sitting down?
I didn't mean to get in the way of your work.
Don't worry. I think you two did the right thing. It was too advanced for us to control anyway. It's a very dangerous technology.
Dun dun.
Seriously, what were we talking about? I lost track.
We were talking about garter belts.
Oh. In front of garter belts. I said I was very modest.
Oh yeah, I kind of brought them up in the middle of that,
Yeah.
talking about like thigh highs and stuff like that.
It doesn't matter. The conversation was shitty anyway, and the fact is, it's almost 10 o'clock, so I have to go to bed soon. So we have to finish up playing. But it has been a lovely night spending it with you guys. All of you.
Yep.
In that chat.
And we still got like 10 or 15 minutes.
We have 7 minutes left.
What? No, it's...
Because we have to do our uploads after this.
Well, I do the uploads.
It is also
Personally,
Thursday night.
I don't want to
Oh, it's our
rely on
girlfriend.
crystals.
Hey, girl.
For all we know, that could lead to the Foul Sea ending up in charge again. And nobody wants that.
Yeah, those guys are dicks.
Yeah, they really are. They're not like gods like they're supposed to
Howdy
be.
time, buddies. Here to help
They're
a
just
Choco
dicks.
girl out by spending some gil.
If you say Choco girl, sure.
I don't think she's people.
I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Yeah. Does she have hands?
If you ever need a hand with anything, you know where to find me. I'll be right here.
I should cosplay her.
I support this.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't know you had a fetish for feathered ladies.
I mean, look, I grew up with Final Fantasy VII and these other Final Fantasy games, so like I probably have a thing for chocobos. Haven't really explored it yet, so maybe not. You know, maybe you'll put on the outfit, I'll be like, nah, okay.
Yep, totally not turned on by
It's neat
this.
that you're doing like the lady, but yeah, that's just not mine.
No, I mean, even with your tits mostly out like that, it's just, I'm not into it.
That is a different counterpoint.
But what
That'll
if
probably
you're, like,
happen.
What if you're, like, super not into the feathers? Like, the feathers
Oh,
are
if they,
turned
like-
off. But,
yeah.
But it looks exactly like that, but on me. Like,
I'm just like, oh wow, I really had no idea that like
I could ever not like those.
red plastic costume feathers. Like I didn't know that was gonna have this effect on it.
Yeah, you're like, this is like the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Like,
I'm pretty upset that you've done this. Like I didn't think it was gonna be a thing where I was like upset at you for doing this to me, but like you've done this and now I'm actually like I understand logically I shouldn't be, but I'm mad at you.
like you put a lot of effort into this costume.
Yeah, and did it
Ordering
like
from
for
China.
me, like trying to you put this together by hand and like I should really be like touched, but like instead I'm like, don't touch me.
I think I need to get a divorce.
I mean, maybe not that far, but certainly, like, I'm gonna go see if Corey minds if I crash on his couch.
I think this is how marriages end, guys. This is what
I don't know. I
happens.
think logically, I could be.
You can work through it.
I don't know if I could work. Like, you'll have to get rid of it. But you know, like, I can leave the house and let you get rid of the thing instead of divorcing you over it. You know.
What if it's because you actually want to wear it? I think that may be what it is.
It's also possible.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm like mad that you didn't make me one.
So you could be Chocolino? Chocolino?
Yeah, exactly.
Or something? I don't know.
Or, like, did you ever think that maybe Heather, I wanted to wear like feather arms? They look fun. She like flaps with them.
Flap, flap, flap.
In my heart, I know I'm a merchant.
True. Oh, I wish there was somebody here who knew what that meant. So go ahead and share your getting drunk story, Brian. I ruined it. Spoilers.
Probably another time.
Another time?
Let's regroup.
In his heart, he knows he's a merchant. Well, is it?
Yeah, in my heart, I know that I'm a merchant.
So I know that I can pee here?
That might have been the next line out of my mouth. I think all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna taunt the like 3 people watching this VOD in like 4 years, and say like, hey, go check out and see August 10th. I'm doing a Dark Souls 3 stream, and I'll need something to talk about during that time. And one of the people who helped carry me down the mountain is going to like sit in on some of that stream. So, you know, if you're checking out this VOD in like 4 years time because you're really bored,
Thanks.
you know, thank you. I appreciate it. I've probably stopped streaming by now.
Yeah.
But there's probably like a really like irresponsibly long Let's Play of like me playing Dark Souls.
Yes, it's supposed to happen. We're not sure though.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
It might not. I might buy a Chocolina costume in the meantime.
Oh yeah, and then I'll have to be out of the house. Like I can take my equipment with me. Just go over to my brother's house and be like, well, you know, this guy was supposed to be on the stream with me anyway. So like while my wife decides whether she cares about me or this Chocolina costume, like I'll be over here
that
playing.
She painstakingly worked on ordering from China.
That's fair.
For 20 minutes, because she had to get her measurements.
No, let's be honest though. That those things can be a lot of money. So, you know, like painstakingly ordered from China, and also like worked hard to make a bunch of money.
That is true. I do have a second
So that somebody
job.
else would like take your measurements and make you, you know, like hand make feathers.
That's true. I don't know if I can order costumes from those like cosplay sites. It did not work out the last time. We'll share that story another time.
I think the only time so that one's a short enough story we can do. We tried to order Bible Black costumes because we have done a Bible Black cosplay that we made ourselves once, and we're like, oh, this could be fun. We'll order these, and like 100%, I was like, okay, so you offer this thing. Can you make a men's shirt? So make this same shirt just in a men's size instead.
It was so bad. Maybe we should wear it for the stream sometime.
Yeah, I can't. It's probably against the community guidelines. It is.
Okay, go ahead. Tell the story.
So, like, the men's shirt, like, they didn't take into effect when I was like, hey, here's the torso length. So it ends here.
It was so bad.
And then they also
it
wouldn't.
was a button-up shirt, like a, you know.
Yeah, like a white button-up shirt with, like, some modifications to the collar. So it, like, should have been easy. And similarly, like, your outfit was, they did not believe you when you were like,
Here's my measurement.
okay, so here's, you know,
I don't remember what the
top, middle, bottom, here are those
chest,
measurements.
Chest, waist, hips, you know.
Yeah, it's like, here are those measurements, and they're like, are you sure? Because we think those wouldn't normally, I'm like, trust me.
They're like that, and this sounds like bragging. It really does, but it is an issue with buying clothes, just like being too tall or too short. But they were like,
You have kind of an hourglass figure.
I have an hourglass figure, and they're like, that waist is too small for that chest size, and we're like,
and you're like, no, it really isn't.
It's not. It's 100%. That is my measurement.
Trust us. So they sent. I forget whether the shirt was bad. Like I think the shirt was okay.
That's the thing.
But
They went back and forth with you like 2 times, and you were like, "This is definitely the measurements in inches and in centimeters." And they're like, "Okay, we'll make it the way we like." They said something like, because it was language barrier. We'll make it like the way we were going to make it. So
we'll make it the way we're going to make it using your measurements. And then like the like vest piece that's supposed to go for it. And it's supposed to be like a kind of an underbusty, corsety thing.
It was supposed to be like form-fitted.
Like a vest that's also kind of form-fitted, and it's just like a straight circle. Like a cylinder that was just too loose on you.
And it was
like we could have taken in your outfit, but like mine was like, I need like another 4 feet of fabric.
Well, and the point was like I might have been able to gather it in the back. I might have been able to put my own darts in it because for some reason they can't figure out how to do that. But his was like literally, and the tie was like the same length. Like,
well, the tie wasn't great looking, but it wasn't like the tie didn't have like a major problem.
Yeah. Oh, it was, and I remember we received it when your brother was staying with us for 2 weeks because his roommates were on their honeymoon.
Yeah.
Something, and
their honeymoon was a staycation.
It was a staycation. So So it actually came while you were at work or something, and I came down. I'm like, Corey, does this look good? He's like, that's very boxy. I'm like, yeah, this is the source material, and he's like, no, like it's
He's like, no, that's not. That doesn't look good.
It was like a sack, like.
Now that being said, like you do order a lot of stuff from the internet where it's like, you know, Chinese-made Lolita dresses and stuff like that. So those have come in and been like a good size.
That dress that I got for Gen Con, that unfortunately I do not have enough money to pay the costume for it, fits amazing. If you are looking for a Lolita dress on Amazon, I cannot share with you the listing, but it's very good. I will tell you. It's like a short sleeve, like puff sleeve. It has like a empire waist.
Yep.
It's a very good dress, and the sizes that they list are very realistic for Americans.
It's not one of those like, oh, by the way, this is like an Asian size, so if you're gonna wear a medium, you need to order a 6X.
Like I think I ordered a 2X in it, and I might wear like, that doesn't matter. In case you're wondering, people who don't wear bras, there are bras that can make your boobs look bigger, or bras that can make your boobs smaller. I would probably wear a bra that makes my boobs smaller, but
sacrilege.
I know, right? But it's Lolita. It's got to be Lolita. So, you know. The point is that dress was great. I think it was actually the company that was selling it. You know how Amazon is with like different sellers. If anybody is interested, I think it was like Women's Fashion of Barcelona was the company that sold the dress, and it was custom made. It took about 3 weeks to get here. So, good value. Yeah, so you're right. I have ordered things from China in custom sizes and have had less trouble than with that particular order. So,
yeah, I think some point in the future, like I'll probably wind up ordering. There's a few cosplay I want to do that will be something where I order like a.
Yeah.
You know, like I want to do the Star Trek Beyond Star Trek uniform.
Once you've got that, like, you know, mesomorph body.
Well, that's when I get to order the Admiral Kirk proper uniform.
And then you don't have the right body shape anymore, and you don't look like William Shatner.
I am perfectly fine with being a sexier version of William Shatner in that moment. I mean, look, we've got a big problem because it's like you know, if I really want to wear that accurately, like I kind of need the like white guy Jerry curl from.
Dog, shut up.
No one's hurt, right?
You're saying you need that white guy. You have the Jerry curl.
No. I have like curly hair.
The Clark Kent one.
Yeah, I've got like that going on.
I wish I had curly hair. I always wanted it. I'd probably hate it if I had it. What costume is that? Is that like the Chinese New Year one or something?
I think it was called like Summoner Wear or something like that.
It is really weird how it has like the inside of the legs cut out. Like that's really not a design choice that any fashion designer would do. I'm just saying. It doesn't make any sense. It serves no purpose.
I mean, I feel you, but at the same point, they do make chaps. And look, she's got like bloomers and stuff.
But the problem is that chaps would be the other way around. There's a lot of times when you
have...
Oh, yeah, a lot of times that, like,
no,
when you have...
assless chaps.
They would be the other... They would still be the other way around.
No.
They would just be, like, higher up. I don't know why anyone ever says assless chaps. Chaps are assless by design. They would still... A lot of times, you know when we talked about, like, women were wearing, like, a couple years ago, like, boots that are modeled after, like, equestrian boots for, like, you know, being an equestrian? Brian?
I'm listening.
When we were talking about bootstraps, remember that? That they would have that there would be boots that had bootstraps on them, but you did not necessarily need to use them because the shape is slightly different. You could get your leg into them. A lot of times when you have something like that, it's based on the reason you have like those straps is because at one point they did serve a function.
Yeah.
So those shorts do not serve a function. The design of them.
Well, I mean, again, they could serve the same function as chaps, which are the same way.
But if you look at because they go up. You can't see this. So I wish you'd. Oh, there we go. There's some assless one. The chaps are cut. They're they're up to the balls. They're touching the balls. So the point is that you're wearing them. So the function of them is to reduce the wear on your pants when you're like straddling something.
Yeah.
Her
Well, for
thighs
those
are-
ones they are, but like, look at these ones.
That's the same thing. When you sit
Yeah,
down, they're
like
gonna ride up a bit.
Maybe, but there's way more thigh showing up on this.
There
And maybe
is.
those do, or on this, right here.
Yeah.
You can see way more of his thigh. Here you go, here's
Her
your
thigh?
titillation for the...
Yeah.
Uh,
Demonetize.
I don't know, I feel like that's...
I think that's a woman.
You might be right.
Yeah, so the point is, like, those are not serving a function. If they were higher up on her thighs, they would.
Well, maybe, like, as a summoner, she needs to protect the inside of her knees.
It's, like, super important. But
Yeah.
her legs, she needs to get air there because that's where her gills are. She needs to get water there.
I mean, look, we're not going to judge her for the fact that she, like, likes the feel of a Valafor between her thighs.
Oh my god, you always have the best lines. You have to find a save point now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everybody.
Okay, let me give... I was trying to wander around here because I know there's a way to... Yeah, he's kind of running around with us. There's a way somewhere here to get back to the first area we were in where there was a gate, and I might have a thing that lets me teleport through that gate.
Oh, we never told the story about the Doritos.
Oh, yeah.
Guatemala.
You never finished your Doritos story about the
know.
Atravita.
Atravito. So it's too late. I can't tell the story now.
Well, I mean, it's very simple. So
I've
very
seen
much
it.
in the same way that, like, cool American is the word for cool ranch.
In other countries, when I went to Guatemala, that's what we started talking about Guatemala and being white and stuff like that. I went to like the convenience store and they had the Doritos in the familiar red packaging, and I was like, oh shit, I know those, and you know I can spend 25. Oh man, what were the pennies called? A quarter of a quetzale on it, and I bought them and I ate them like, oh man, these are really good, but they didn't taste like the nacho cheesier. They were like slightly spicier. Like it was a different flavor. And I look at them and I was like talking with my Spanish teacher and I was like, you know, like what does this mean? And you know, in English I said I didn't know how to say nacho cheesier, so I said nachos mas queso. And she's like, oh, because then that made enough sense, you know, like nachos with more cheese.
Yeah.
Con más gas, whatever, I can't talk. And she's like, she told me to look the word up because she didn't know the English word for it. It said nacho atravito. And I look up the word in my, you know, Spanish student dictionary, and it says insolent. So they're insolent nachos. And I'm like, what does that mean? And she said, well, that's a joke. In Spanish, she said, that's a joke. It's funny. And I said, insolent nachos. And I'm like, so I think it's funny because it's like, why you wouldn't describe a food item as being insolent.
Yeah, just like, how dare you?
How dare you? These nachos do not listen to what you say. But I looked it up then on Google Translate because there's something about like looking up words in an actual book. It like helps you learn a little better than like just searching on the internet. At least in my opinion, as an old person. So I looked the word up on Google Translate, and of course, you know, as words go, there are other translations for it in English. So atrevido also means daring, bold, audacious, presumptuous, forward. So it's like that sort of word, you know? Like, I don't know if there's an equivalent word in English that means all of those things.
Yeah, I mean, 100% they were like,
daring.
oh, we have bold and daring. That's our marketing campaign. And they like ran it through Google Translate and they were like, that's it. They're Atravito Doritos. And you're like,
I mean,
it's not quite what you're going for, but I guess I understand.
Bold and nachos, it makes the most sense as far as like a contextual translation there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like they had a whole marketing campaign that was like, well, my friend, you're bold, but are you daring?
That's true.
And then like a dude with a prosthetic would block a shot from the half court
Yeah.
in street basketball with his prosthetic that he's unhooked in the middle of a jump.
That's true.
And they're like, indeed, and then they hand the guy a bag of Doritos. Because he's both bold and daring.
That's true. But the fact that, like, the only the only translation that dictionary gave me was insolent made me like, what the fuck do they mean by this? And if anybody is curious, the definition of insolent, which I spelled wrong when I searched for it, is an adjective showing a rude or arrogant lack of respect. So...
I knew it had something to do with respect.
So I think that if we were to... If they meant insolent by it, that perhaps if they were to then market those same Doritos in America, they might call them fresh nachos.
Or rude nachos.
Rude... I think fresh would be more... I don't know. I don't know stuff.
I think they're going for, like, bold. I think bold is the term they're looking for.
Yeah, and then at the airport I bought, like, 3 bags of those Doritos and brought them home, and I'm like, Brian, aren't these good? And he's like, yes.
Yep.
Like, they're okay.
He's like, they're alright. They're, like, nacho cheesier, but, like, a little bit spicier. Like, they're not full-on spicier nacho, but, like,
yeah,
maybe a little bit more.
I love Doritos. They're
Anyway, we have managed to save.
Hey, guys.
And we are going to take off for the evening, so that's us for tonight.
This is a great evening, guys. We had a really good time.
Yep. And we look forward to seeing you guys. We probably won't be back next Thursday, but I might do something on Tuesday because we are going to Gen Con this next week. So we will hopefully be back with stories of Gen Con in a couple weeks.
Yeah, man. Have fun. See you guys.
And look forward to, like I said, August 10th is my Dark Souls 3 stream, which is very important because I don't like Dark Souls.
You raised like $100 to play that, right? Like,
It's 75 for that right now.
75. If anyone wants to make it a 48-hour playthrough.
No. It's only going to be 24, but as it currently stands, I have the right to, like, if I die to the same boss for 3 hours straight.
Put our thing back up.
Yeah, if I die to the same boss for 3 hours straight, I have the right currently to, what thing?
The logo. Anyway, keep
I don't have a
talking.
logo one on
so
this one.
So if he dies...
If I die, I have the right currently to like, rage quit out of the game. Just be like, nope, 3 hours, same boss. I'm done.
That's not fair. What if that happens to, like, the first boss? I think that he should, like...
There
should be a veto on that.
Well, the veto is $25 more donated to Extra Life. For the kids.
For the kids. Ruin his life.
We're at 75, so it's a 24-hour stream, but it's got to be $25 more to keep me from, rage quitting after I die to the first skeleton for 3 hours straight.
It's great that you have so many good friends who are willing to do that for you.
Good friends. Good friends.
Good.
Yeah, they're good friends because they're making me play a game where I'm like, I don't like this game. I recognize it's a good game, but I just...
It's not his style.
Yep, it is not my style. I suck at games where you have to fight the same boss over and over again. Alright, good night. That's
Bye,
us for the
everybody.
evening. Thank you.